Yes, sir.
Lalita ma'am, please give me a couple of more minutes. We'll be ready. Lalita ma'am, we can start the proceedings.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening to all present here, our respected chairman, Mr. Ramanaidu, our CEO, Mr. Subramaniam, our guest for today, Dr. Satisha Baswaraju, our education officer, Mr. R.K. Singh, dear parents, my colleagues, and students, a warm welcome to this wonderful webinar on artificial intelligence and its importance in education and livelihood. Artificial intelligence has already been applied in education, primarily in some tools that help develop skills and testing systems. But artificial intelligence has tremendous potential in education in terms of bringing in differentiated and individualized learning. With all classes of ours being heterogeneous, it is important that we bring about individualized learning in a class of 30-35 students. Adjusting learning based on individual students' particular needs has been a priority with all educators. But artificial intelligence will allow a level of differentiation that is probably impossible for any teacher to manage on his or her own. And then artificial intelligence has tremendous bearing on livelihood also. Every high school student, in fact, should be able to study artificial intelligence and its influence on their life and work. It promises to be the single most important change driver over the next 2 decades. But, we are not giving it that much importance as we should. And today I am very glad that we have brought this for our webinar. And to throw more light on this and give us more insights, we have Dr. Satisha Baswaraju. He's a postdoctoral research fellow in computer vision and deep learning from the University of Surrey, Guildford, England, UK. And the University of Surrey is one of UK's top professional scientific and technological universities. Mr. Baswaraju has contributed, has done his MTech from IIT Guwahati, and he has authored many papers. His major contribution in research includes understanding and predicting visual memorability at image and object level. Various deep learning techniques have been developed to predict memorability scores at object and image level. Very impressive, sir, and we look forward to your talk. We also have our visionary chairman, who is instrumental in bringing these wonderful speakers from all over the world and addressing our students and teachers. We also have with us our CEO, Mr. Subramaniam, who will be providing all the tech support and also moderating the Q&As part of the webinar. We also have with us Mr. R.K. Singh, who is the education officer, and he will be also a part of this seminar. This webinar, we are so used to seminars, it's a webinar. But before I hand over to our chief speaker for today, I would request our chairman to address the gathering and speak to all. Over to you, Chairman, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to all of you. Today, I am really excited to listen to our speaker, Dr. Satisha, since we would like to understand how AI is going to change lives of our students and ourselves for next century. Prior to hand over into Satisha, I would like to talk about how we have been cultivating ourselves for the last few centuries. As human beings, all of us have been seen many revolutions in the current era. 10,000 years ago, humans' life had changed with the invention of fire and language. But prior to the invention of fire and language, all of us used to be hunter-gatherers, roam around different forest areas, deep in forest areas, try to find food. That is the major task for all of us. After invention of fire and language, we started getting control over other species on the land of Earth. Then we started trying to utilize the technology, that is fire and also language, to gather all of us social beings and use the food for our effectiveness, as we need 20% of food, especially to improve our brains. If we compare our brains for other beings like chimpanzees and gorillas, our brain had developed enormously due to the kind of food we intake. That is the reason even today, our parents or elders suggest us to take very good food, which would give you enough strength and power to enhance your thinking and also your brain power. The second age started with agriculture and also cities along with rivers. In addition to invention of fire and language, agriculture had given us an advantage of producing the yield food for us for next few years. Since agriculture required huge amount of water, most of the cities in the second age of generations had got settlements along with rivers. The third age started with industrialization and specialization of labors. In this third age, we all learned how to really good at a specific task so that the particular task can be produced with high quality, and our lives and also quality of our day-to-day efforts can improve upon. The fourth age is nothing but the current age. We are in the beginning of fourth age, that is information technology, computer technologies are helping us to connect across the world, use different technologies to enhance our livelihood, to enhance our quality of standards. We are in the beginning of new era, that is artificial intelligence, where most of our teaching aids and also medical field, many artificial intelligence tools are used so that we can utilize artificial intelligence techniques to enhance our quality of life, to understand how a better task can be achieved. I'd like to share a quote from the author Kapau. He had written a book called Deep Sea. So he quoted that the humans, the greatest strength is about empathy and emotions. If humans are not having these strengths, you can be beaten by your computer, because computer processing is far better than all of us. It can calculate 1,000 times of possibilities and probabilities of each problem. Hence, if you wanted to have a better life in the future, next generations, and compete with artificial intelligence, all of us should learn how to be more empathize with our own fellow beings, how to really care for other human beings, so that you can always take edge over artificial intelligence, which is going to take our fourth generation's lives. You name a car without a driver, you can say anything. You can find robots who can treat us better. You can find robots who can argue on behalf of us in the courts most efficient way compared to human lawyers. And also there are many places we already seen, many Google assistants are far better than our own personal assistants. That means the current era, there is a possibility that we all may be replaced by robots or artificial intelligences with repetitive task owners. So we may fear about how our jobs are going to be next future. Dr. Satisha may enlighten us how the current education has to be, how our lives has to be changed to combat the new challenges thrown by artificial intelligence, so that our children and ourselves can have control over our future, so that we start learning how to really survive or thrive in the future. Thank you very much, ma'am. So
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Satisha.
Thank you very much. Like you said, sir, it is definitely the rapid growth in artificial intelligence is going to take over a large part of our lives in the future. And we will hear more from Dr. Satisha. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, one and all. First of all, it's very exciting to talk to kids. That's the best thing. I have given talk in many places where domain experts are there. It was exciting too, but today it's really, I can say it's the best talk, because I'll be talking to kids. I'll be telling something to new generation, and thanks for this opportunity. I'll try to tell whatever I know and I learned throughout my PhD experience and my postdoc experience. You are always free to ask me any questions. In the slides, I'll try to give very high level information about what is artificial intelligence and what are its applications. Let me share my screen. Before I continue further. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be giving a very abstract level information in the slides, but I guess we have interaction also at the end of the presentation. There you can ask whatever the questions you have, and if I know anything about that, then I'll be happy to explain. So without wasting much of the time, let's move on to the talk.
Mr. Satish, before proceeding,
Yes.
If you can go on Zoom panel,
Okay.
if you can go to more, do you see something called more button?
Zoom panel. Okay.
Somewhere where you can see mute, stop video.
Give me a second.
Yeah. There is annotation on, so children will keep trying that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Pause. Yeah. What should I do here?
Are you able to see some button called more?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you click on that, please, once?
Yeah, I have clicked.
Do you see something called disable annotation for participants?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Please do that.
Yeah. I've done.
And after doing that,
Okay.
can you see annotate option?
Again. Okay.
Annotate somewhere before more button itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Click on that, please.
Yeah. So I should
One
clear.
panel comes up on the top.
Yeah.
Something like you may be able to see clear.
Clear all drawings. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. You can close the annotation now. I think there is one more kid who has done. If you can clear one more time.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. You can proceed now.
Yeah. This is
Kids will love to play.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Subramaniam. Yeah, this is the outline of my presentation. I'll start with an introduction of what is actually artificial intelligence, and then I'll move on to, we already have a lot of softwares, programming languages. Why this artificial intelligence or machine learning really we want when we already have so many softwares, programming languages. And then I'll talk about buzzwords mostly you have heard in most of the places like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. So what are they exactly? Are they related, different, and all? Then I'll move on to artificial intelligence applications in general, where we can apply or where people are already applying, and about all those things. Then I'll come to education, how we can get benefited from AI in the domain of education. So this is about my presentation. Okay, coming to the introduction part, what is artificial intelligence? First of all, how to define it? It is defined as, it's a field of study that aims to create intelligent machine. What do you mean by intelligent machine now? So it's machine that is capable of learning how to solve a given problem. Overall, artificial intelligence is a domain of study where people are trying to make machines to think like humans. That's what the objective of artificial intelligence, nothing else. How you will do, it's up to you. Whatever you follow, whatever the programming you follow, whatever the algorithm you do, somehow you should make machines to think like humans. That's it. That is, we can call as the domain of study, that is artificial intelligence. So now, okay, somebody come up with an algorithm, they made a machine, they are telling their machine can think like humans. it can perform the task like human. So how do you check it? So there is a standard test. You might have heard this called Turing test. So what is this Turing test tells? So a person A wants a task to be done, and he will give it to me, and I'll give the task to a machine. Machine performs the task and it will give the result, and I'll give back the result to the person. Now, if the person cannot be able to tell whether the task is carried out by a machine or human, then we can say the machine got intelligence, because a human cannot differentiate whether the task is carried out by machine or humans. So then only we can say, yes, this machine got intelligence. And this test is called Turing test. You can see this in maybe scientific movies, scientific fiction movies. There people talk about this Turing test. If you especially see AI-related scientific fiction movies. So now we have seen so many programming languages. We have heard today everything is programming. From our mobile phone, operating system is there. It can be able to do so many things. We can install apps. We can do so many things. Everything is programming. Nowadays, even kids are learning in the high schools the programming. Then when we have already all these things, why we need artificial intelligence, or what is special about it? So the answer is, in simple words, I'll put it here: conventional programming makes decisions based on user-defined hard code rules, but AI makes decisions based on rules learned by itself. What is it all about? Okay, generally we use machines for so many reasons. One important reason is decision making. So I want to take a decision, I need an expert, but I may not get always expert. Then I can make machine as an expert to tell what decision I can take. So there are two things, two ways I can achieve this. One way is, for a given problem, I can collect the details from all the existing human experts, and I can make hard code rules. If something if case 1, then this is the decision you have to take. If case 2, this is the decision 2 you have to take. If case 3, decision 3 you can take. Fine, you can work with that. You don't need artificial intelligence at all. You bring 100 top experts and ask them, let us sit and make the rules, or let us sit and let us export their knowledge, and then we can write hard code rules. Our task is done. But it is not possible for all the problems we want to solve. There are problems human can easily solve it, but he cannot explain how we solved it. Such situations, we want machines to learn like humans so that it can do our task. One such example is, consider this figure. The top figure is an RGB image taken in some road. Now, my task is to predict the depth. What is depth? Depth is nothing but how far an object is from the camera. Here you can see a car towards the left of the image in the first image, and also you can see at the middle of the image a bus, right? If I ask you which vehicle is near to the camera, which vehicle is far to the camera, all of you will say easily, car is near to you, near to the camera than bus. It's so quick. Now, if I ask any one of you, can you tell me how can I transfer this knowledge in terms of software so that the software can be able to do the same? It's very, very difficult. Even I can do this for single image. If I give randomly any image, any picture, then that rule should apply. The rule should be generic. For any random image, the rule should be able to tell which object is near to the camera, which object is far to the camera. Human can easily do it, They don't, you ask any kid, 4-year kid, which is near, it will easily tell. Even experts cannot be able to list out the rules to solve such problems. So in the below figure, it is a depth map actually. I'll try to explain what it is, how to interpret it. Here the darker values, you can say the bluish values are far from the camera and the lighter values are near to the camera. So we can see here the car corresponding wherever the car is there, you can see it is almost the pink color, dark pink color. And look at the bus place, it is completely dark. So we can interpret it, right? And this result is taken from one of my research results, where we predict depth from single image. Artificial intelligence is so nicely able to do this, right? From the just given a single image, nothing more. I just given the top image, it has produced the bottom image. So where we can use it in so many places, for example, autonomous cars, where no driver exists, the car has to run itself, then it should understand how far an object is from the car. The camera is fixed to the car, right? That's why we need artificial intelligence. There are so many such real world problems. We cannot write all the rules and regulations in general to achieve those tasks. Then what artificial intelligence does? It try to learn or mimic human brain. How we learned it, we don't know. From our childhood, we were seeing so many such scenes and we have been told by our friends, parents, teachers. And then we are learning, okay, this is near to me, this is far to me, like that. So based on this enormous knowledge, we are quickly able to solve such problems. So we want our AI researchers want machine to learn in the same manner so that we can use that in our real world applications. Then coming to these buzzwords, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, what they are exactly? Are they same? Are they different? Loosely speaking, AI can be interpreted to mean incorporating human intelligence to machines that I already defined. So then what is machine learning? Machine learning, you can say it's a kind of way, it's a means to realize AI. It's a kind of, you can say it's an algorithms or it's a way of writing algorithms. That's what machine learning. I can say I can bring AI to education through machine learning. So next is deep learning. What is deep learning? Deep learning is a specialized version of machine learning, nothing else. Just there, the complexity is more. The architectures are deeper. So generally, the number of we humans have neurons, right? Biological neurons. When similarly in the artificial intelligence, we do have artificial neurons. When we have more number of neurons or deeper layers of neurons, then we call it as deep learning. I'm telling in a very abstract way, trying to put it in a very generalized manner, but they have their own domain specific definitions. To put it in a more general way, they just have deeper layers of neurons or the more complex architectures. And nowadays, deep learning is becoming more famous and successful in most of the problem solving, in most of the domains like computer vision, natural language processing, because we do have a lot of computation power today. So that is what deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. And we can also see from the figure, machine learning is subset of artificial intelligence and deep learning is subset of machine learning. So artificial intelligence, you can say it is a superset. And inside this, we can get so many other subsets. Let us not go too much deeper. Just these are the three most commonly used buzzwords in artificial intelligence domain. So coming to artificial intelligence applications in general, first thing is self-driving vehicles. All over the world, researchers are trying to come up with autonomous vehicles where drivers are not required at all. So what they are trying to do, they are trying to make the car to think when to apply the gear, when to apply the brake, when to apply the accelerator, based on so many parameters. Few of them may be traffic signal, what traffic signal the camera adjusted to the car is seeing, what traffic sign it is seeing, what objects are in front of the car, what objects behind the car, and then also how far the vehicles uh, from the car. Based on all these parameters, the artificial intelligence will take decision, and that decision will help the car to, or the machine exist in the car to apply the brakes, or apply the, or increase or decrease the accelerator, or apply the gear for safe journey. That is one luxurious applications we will get, but very important domain is healthcare sector. That is very important, where AI is today people are working a lot. One successful subdomain of healthcare is automatic diagnostic process. There are so many applications where AI yet to succeed, but this subdomain diagnostic process where AI succeeded very well. For example, today's artificial intelligence algorithms can uh, predict more accurately than radiologists to detect whether the given tissue is cancerous or non-cancerous. Uh, and also, one of the professors I know is at present in IIT Bombay, Amit Sethi, Dr. Amit Sethi. I heard from him once. They're also working on a person with cancer has been treated, and then they are trying to predict what is the probability that the same person may get the cancer after 5 years. Whether the treatment, after the treatment, what is the probability whether he is going to get or he is not going to get. Such things, according to my knowledge, may not be able to given by any of the radiologists or any of the doctors, but definitely the radiologists and the doctors and the healthcare communities expert, and the data is required to come up with such artificial intelligence models, and it is very, very helpful for many people in this world. So next, coming to finance sector. So it's again a business model. Consider insurance companies. So health insurance companies, then they want to make profit, at the same time they want to give service to the people. Here two things they should play wise. They have to sell their insurance policies with the proper cost depending on the person's details. So what are the details? What is his current health condition? What are his health histories, and what is his age, what is his gender, what region he belongs to. These are the few parameters, but still there are so many other parameters we can consider to sell the insurance with the proper cost and with a proper assured amount, so that the company should not go in loss. At the same time, the company wants to give a valuable service to their customer. So there, human may not be able to do efficient decision and cannot predict what is the best cost for a particular person to sell an insurance, but AI can be able to do that in a more better way, so that they will always get benefited, and also their customers will get a very good valued service. Similarly, the vehicle insurance, if you come, same thing in UK and all, we do have driver insurance, and here the driver insurance cost depends on so many things: how many accidents the driver has done previously, and other parameters. Here also people use AI, are using and also can use AI to make a better prediction of the cost, so that the company should get benefited and also the driver. Similarly, the stock market prediction. So many of you may be doing that. So it can predict what will be the value of the share after few days, and where I can invest for the customers, for the clients or the people who are investing in stock market. It will help so that they can get more benefit out of it. So similarly, other areas like weather forecasting, these are all the general applications. Coming to more deeper or coming to more specific applications in the research domain, we are using it extensively from last 10 years for natural language processing, computer vision, and speech processing. These are essential in our day-to-day applications. Natural language processing can be used in schools, can be used in many places. Similarly, computer vision, as I said, it can be used in self-driving vehicles, health sector, and NLP can be used in finance. Next, speech processing can be used everywhere. Like we have voice assistants, and that will help people to communicate easily. We don't need human power. So otherwise in many call centers, we need to employ so many humans. Instead, if we have a voice assistant and with predefined questioning and answering, so it will help a lot of people. These are some of the other applications in general. Coming to education, what are the advantages of AI in education for students? So the first is education at any time. So it's not nowadays now, because in the traditional education we have a specific time, morning maybe 10 to evening 5 o'clock. Afterwards, the availability of teachers is not possible. But if we have AI, so we can have virtual tutors, and we can listen. The students can listen anytime they want for various reasons. If kid is if the kid is special, or if kid needs more attention, or it needs to learn more, and it needs to listen more and more, it needs to do the educational activity more and more. Whenever it is free, whenever it is required, we can go and the student can listen to the virtual tutor. Next is various options due to student needs. So a system can adapt to students' level of knowledge. We can develop a system that can able to understand and analyze students' level of knowledge. That's really an interesting outcome. A lot of research is going in that domain. If we can be able to do that very accurately, then we can be able to come up with the interfaces, come up with the activities, come up with the curriculum specific to that particular student. That's going to make that student better. That particular research is going to make the learning for that student much more better. So next is virtual mentors. This is possible. Virtual mentors is because we have an artificial intelligence model can work as a virtual mentor, and it can teach to kids whenever and wherever required. So these are the advantages for students if we include AI in our education. Along with our teachers, one thing I would like to say, most of the teachers are here. So is it going to replace teachers? No, it is not. We have not, I don't know about complete future, but at this stage, we have not reached to that level. It can replace completely humans, because we have consciousness, but we have not yet, mostly we are in that process, but we have not yet achieved machine to have consciousness. We still need teachers, and teachers are always required, but with AI and teachers can make this students' life much more better. That I can say. So teachers are always required, and they should be respected always. So next is, what are the advantages of AI in education for teachers and schools? So opportunity to see weaknesses. So every school, every teacher want their children to perform very well. That is their pride actually. So then they can, if AI can help them to understand where a particular student is lagging behind, that is something extraordinary, or something a human cannot able to judge it every time accurately, but machine can do that better. And if the machine says this is where the student is lagging behind, then uh, teacher and school can concentrate more on that area where the students are lagging behind. And then better engagement through technologies like virtual reality. We can have, we no need to create everything by our own to make the presentation the more what do you say, exciting. But machines can able to do that. It can be subject wise, it can be based on student wise. The same topic can be presented on, can be presented differently for different students on their screen. It can come based on which student he is, based on how different he is. Whatever I'm talking is just, it is under the process. It is in it is ongoing research. It is not yet come, but in future, maybe in 5 to 10 years, we may see that we have hundreds kids and a teacher is teaching, and when he put his content, when teacher throw the content to the AI will demonstrate differently to different student based on which student he is, or what emotion, based on what emotion the student is uh, uh, projecting on his face, how he is. For example, now you are all able to see me, so you may not be able to understand what emotions or how I am feeling at this moment, whether I'm nervous because I'm giving presentation, or I'm excited because I'm giving presentation to all of you. But machine can do that. AI can do that. Okay, the speaker may be very fast, it can say, or the speaker may be very slow, or the speaker may be nervous, or the speaker may be excited. All these things machine can understand. Similarly, the student, the machine can able to understand how student behaving, and based on that, the interface, the content may immediately, quickly change so that it can make a better engagement of a student. So that will make student to listen more, learn in a better way. Uh, Next is automatic creation of curriculum. So we can develop AI that can take so many parameters, and then it can automatically create the curriculum. We no need to create. In the sense, the experts has to give input while designing the AI. Based on that, the AI can be able to come up with a better curriculum and a better way of creating the curriculum, so that the student can understand the flow of study will be much better when the students go through that curriculum. So this is another advantage for schools as well as teachers. So how to use AI in education? So the same thing I'm putting in different words: personalized learning, yes, individual instructions, testing and feedback. As I said, it's purely, this is the major point of AI in education, that is personalized learning. That is what even most of the schools are trying to give. They try to have just 20 students uh, per teacher, so that they can give importance to each and every kid. Now the ratio is 20:1, or maybe 10:1. But if we include AI, we can give 1:1. So then that will be a better way of teaching and better way of learning. Then audio assistants. We already have today many audio assistants like Amazon Alexa, Apple's Siri, Google Home. Similarly, we can have audio assistants, so it will be more interactive to interact with machines, human and computer interaction. Student can interact with a machine. So instead of showing text result or graphical results, the machine can also speak to students It can listen to students, it can speak back to students. It will be more interactive, and the students may feel they are talking to humans, and they may be more attentive. Next is creation of smart content. Yeah, we can use AI to create, as I said, a lot of smart content, from digitalized textbooks to customized interfaces. And then globalization. This is really interesting. AI can bring bundle of opportunity to share knowledge all over the world. Like the way today technology is making me sitting in UK and able to speak to you, share my knowledge. So AI can also allow people to talk uh, talk to people across the world, talk to students across the world. Uh, Through those, we have our own languages, not only English, maybe Chinese. In some countries, they don't speak English also. In spite of that, we can still have an interaction with different teachers, different students, and we can make life much better. So this is all about my slides. So I thought this will be helpful. So, okay, one more slide. Existing AI-based solutions in education. At this moment, few of the examples, if you are interested. One is like third space learning. This is a system which recommends way to improve teaching methodologies, such as indication of too fast or too slow teaching. Means if teacher is speaking very fast, then it will send an indication to the teacher that you are speaking too fast. And if the teacher is speaking very slow, the same thing. Such things. And Little Dragon, it's an AI startup, and they develop AI apps which can analyze the viewer's emotions. As I said to you already, like what emotions a student is going through when he is listening to the class, and then adapt the user interface accordingly. This is again a very beginning phase of this technologies. Similarly, you can have other AI-based solutions such as CTI, Brainly, Carnage Learning, and then ThinkerMath are few of the examples we can see, and we can even schools may adopt these things into their schools. So this is, I think, yeah, I wanted to share with you all. So if you have any questions, you may ask me. Thank you.
Satish, you gave great insights.
Thank you, Ram.
Lalita ma'am, you're talking on mute.
Thank you very much, Dr. Basvaraju. It has been a wonderful insights. And in fact, we very unknowingly, we are taken over by artificial intelligence. If you go to Amazon or any of the shopping sites and you look at some product, the next minute you open your Facebook, you will find that product is right there in front of you, urging you to buy it. So it is already taken over our lives to a large extent. And it's not very far when it will have, more implications in our life too. And I see that quite a lot of children are very eager to ask a lot of questions. And I will hand it over now to Subramaniam sir for moderating the QA session.
Thank you very much, ma'am. There are plenty of questions today. I think
Yes.
most of the children are asking this time.
Yes.
Let
I
me
see that.
start looking at the questions. I think the first question is, they are thanking you for, giving, letting them to have this kind of, webinar on artificial intelligence. And we have to accept the importance of artificial intelligence in every walk of life. Especially it helped us during this pandemic 19 situation, right? The question is, but as a parent of very young child, I have few questions. Please comment and suggest on these, right? First question, there are series of questions. I'll take one question at a time. Are we slightly damaging more ethical, logical, social, and legal skills?
Stop sharing, Satish, so that we can spotlight.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, can spotlight.
So the parents' first question is,
Okay.
are we slightly damaging moral, ethical, logical, social, and legal skills and abilities and values of children with this AI?
Subbi, could
Okay.
you spotlight speaker?
Yes, I'll do that. Shall I repeat the question, Dr. Satisha? Or,
Yeah. Could you please repeat?
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So with AI,
Yes.
is it the case where are we, slightly damaging moral, ethical, logical, social skills or abilities of children?
Uh, Yeah, it's a debatable topic. Technology is always has its own positive and negative sides, and how well we incorporate technology in our life is very important. And this is what we call as consciousness that machines don't have. It's all inside us. Definitely, it's not only parents' responsibility because kids spend most of the time outside home, and not only teachers or schools responsibility, it's society's responsibility. And we have to bring a kind of awareness in ourselves about this technology, not only this, every technology, so that we can take it in a right way instead of troubling ourselves. That's a very big domain of research, whatever the parent asked, the ongoing research, how well we can ensure the ethics and the ethics and morals in this domain. Otherwise, it will definitely going to finish us one day. That's the negative side. Uh, so it's all about us. We have to how well we will take the whole society. So everyone's contribution is very important here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satisha. I think everything will have two sides of a coin, right? So I think
Yeah.
it will be a similar situation over here, right?
Yeah.
And the second question, it is from the same parents. Are we curbing the creative skills of children to some extent with AI coming in?
Yeah, it's putting the first question in the other words. Of course, if we are too much into anything, definitely we will have this problem. Today, I'll give you an example. I studied, coming to our era, we were never used calculators until I reached 11th standard. I was able to, if you ask me, add what is 37 plus 47, I was quickly telling. Today, if you ask me 7 plus 8, I'll find calculator. Where is mobile calculator or laptop calculator? That's because how we use it. So it depends on that. Definitely, somewhere, maybe the parents and teachers, maybe it's my personal opinion, have to enforce and identify and enforce avoiding AI wherever it is really required, so that to nurture few skills to the students. And we have to segregate the things properly, where we should allow our kids to use the technology, where we should not. It's not only applicable to AI, everywhere. It may be TV, it may be mobile, it may be anything. So this is careful attention. Mostly, according to my knowledge, it should be taken care in homes, because in the schools mostly it is taken care, but in homes, maybe in our home, just to get some free time, generally we give mobile to the kids. Just an example, if a 9-month baby is crying, people start giving phone to that, showing phone to that, so that it will, it will have food or it will listen to you, but later they'll become addict to that.
Yes.
So we should be careful, and we should spend time with the kids. It's all our responsibility, and there is no thumb rule how you can do it. You should find your own rule which will work for your kid and you.
Subbi, I would like to add to Satish.
Yeah.
Yes.
made a right point. Now many children are using calculator instead of using their mental ability to calculate. Not only calculator, nowadays I observe many students are using Siri and Google Assistant to get some of the answers for their multiple choice questions we are conducting.
Yeah,
So
that's
this is
hilarious.
really a negative side of AI. They are not even talking to their parents. I have seen some of the students searching, going to Siri and asking what is the answer for this, right? So this is a classic example whether you can use the technology for the advantage of your child. You can use the Siri, how child can learn without help of parent or without help of tutor. At the same time, the child can use Siri or Google Assistant to search for your question answer. Since children are at home and a pandemic time, parents are too busy in their household activities or business activities, given the phone and laptop, asking the children to write exams. They are taking the help of Google Assistant and Siri to write all your exams. Maybe I'm raising alarm to my principal and CEOs how really can control, or you can search before selecting your question answer. Siri or Google Assistant should not be able to give the answer.
Okay, but just to add one more thing, to tell you the positive hope, we are in the beginning of this era, AI era. So at this moment, most of the researchers are concentrating on how well we can come up with the technology to perform the tasks. Once we saturate, once we done all those things, next thing will come for how we can channelize it properly. For example, in the beginning, when TVs came, remotes came, we were not having child lock. Later, people have come up with the idea like, okay, we should have a child lock so that you can control few things. So in the future, as Rama said, like we may have few things we can instruct Siri or this voice assistant. Now my kid is using mobile phone. You are not supposed to help him in any of these things, or let me know if he try to contact you. Such things will come as we progress, and definitely that direction research is really going on. We may expect that in near future.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, the third question that we have is,
Okay.
if we use
To be
artificial
a
intelligence,
little louder, the voice is not clear.
is
Yeah.
it all right now?
Yes.
Yeah. If we use artificial intelligence excessively,
Mhm.
will these generation be socially adapted in new society?
Okay.
It's a
Socially
tricky
what?
question.
Socially what?
Adaptive, sir. Adaptive.
Socially adaptive means I didn't understand the question. By the way, if you are asking, are we are not going to socialize physically? You mean to say?
So, yeah, see, they are basically more going to spend time with, computers
Virtual
and
world,
smart devices.
virtually social.
Yeah,
You
so,
mean to
and
say?
they don't know, what is the society, how to mingle, what to talk, what not to talk, and all that.
Yeah, this is again the same thing. Like I'll tell you a short story. I won't take much thing. In a train, a kid is reading a book. When all other kids were reading, looking at their mobiles, then somebody come and ask the mom, like, how come your kid is reading a book instead of mobile? She says, she shows her own book. See, I do this. I read most of the time book instead of mobile, so my kid follow me. So it's
Yes.
you who will teach. If you go outside, if you play, if you give some time to the kids, definitely they'll follow you. If you look at the mobile most of the time, if you use Facebook, definitely your kids do the same thing. It's
Yes.
our responsibility.
Very well said. Very well said. I think
Yes.
they
Very
copy
true.
us. They look at us.
Very much. Subhi, please louder, Subhi. Today your
Yeah.
voice is a little feeble.
Is it? All right.
Yes.
I'll try to speak little loudly.
Yeah.
Right. So when we encourage kids to, get addicted our kids to artificial intelligence, a child may enter into unnecessary things and sometimes even dangerous also,
Mm.
right? So there is a lot of onus, especially on teachers, on the schools, and the parents, to make children more ethical and all that.
Mm.
Do you agree with that kind of with that kind of comment?
So could you please tell again?
Okay.
Sir, I will repeat it.
Yeah. Your voice is much audible, actually.
Yes. Sir, with this kind of, again, it's probably a repetition of the previous questions. Will it, in some way be harmful for the children and for the, usage of artificial intelligence? Will it in some way harm the children in any?
Yeah. If it is used in a negative side, means in a other side, definitely it is harmful to every one of us, not only to the kids. It's whenever we hand over our mobile or laptop to the kids, we should make sure everything is fine. But unfortunately, most of the parents may not be that much educated, and may not be that much, even if they are educated, they are not much familiar with the recent devices to make those arrangements. But then what is the solution? They should talk to their friends, other parents, or teachers, and they should get educated. It's not like, okay, it's not my job, I'll give just my laptop. No, we cannot. I don't say it is irresponsibility, but it is a kind of escaping from responsibility. So we should also get update by learning through your friends or the school teachers. School will definitely help you, and if they can, school can give 1 or 2 sessions, maybe training sessions, if they're really going to use AI or some this online teaching. They should tell parents or train the parents how you can make sure they are not going to misuse the technology. Maybe they can find some solution this way. Yeah, definitely it has negative impact. We should be careful.
Have already answered this question.
Yes.
See, as artificial intelligence cannot have emotions and feeling. So how to overcome the drawbacks of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, we are in the progress. I can only say that. Yeah, we are trying. Yeah, we may find maybe after 50, 60 years, maybe robots can think like humans. They can completely like humans.
Right. All right. How AI can make a child, especially AI can concentrate on weaker kind of children, and what do they offer? This is a question from one of the child.
Yeah, it's interesting. For example, AI can, I'll start with an example, like as ma'am said, whenever we go to some websites and we see some items to buy our interest or something, the browser as a kind of AI, it will capture all the cookies information, and then it will use them to understand what a person is trying to buy, and then the ads will come based on our interest. In the same manner, AI can be able to keep on observing the responses of a kid for all the questions. For example, assume the kid is poor in maths, but he or she is doing better in other subjects. Then it can keep on observing all those things. It can learn, it has the capability, it can analyze, and it will identify, okay, this kid is poor on mathematics and is doing better in other subjects. Then it can give the classes, or it may suggest to the teachers, or if it is itself is giving lectures or tuitions, then it will give more tuitions on particular subject. Okay, coming to particular subject, further it can observe where exactly the kid is doing mistakes. For example, for a given maths problem, it has 4-5 steps. If the kid is able to perform successfully first 3 steps very well, and it is failing at the 4th or 5th step, then it can accurately identify, okay, the kid is doing wrong here, and what are the requirements or the concept the kid should go through further to make those steps perfectly correct. So that way, the AI can observe so perfectly, or in a very sensitive manner, small information, the AI can be able to observe, and it can change the curriculum or the activities, learning activities to the kid. It can do that.
Very nice. Very nice.
And this is one more question from a child. Don't you think using more artificial intelligence may have some side effects? Will you be able to comment on that? I think you already talked a lot.
Yeah,
about that, but
it's just like a giant Rakshas is there with us. So we can use him for good work, or we can use him for bad work. It's up to us.
Yes.
How well we can use it. Yeah.
Very
Yes.
Yes. And I think you also explained on this question in a different, way. So, but this is from a parent. Can you explain in brief, with an example, how AI is used in education?
Yeah, as I said, this is my imagination. Always imagination is more than knowledge. They say, I want to see in future, the student comes and he want to, for example, specific example, he want to showcase, he want to give a problem, like find out the interest, okay, interest for the given money, what is the interest, annual interest, a problem thrown onto the AI. Now AI can come up with, based on what interest a student is. A student is interested in, trees or fruits. One student interest is he likes more on fruits and all. And then the AI can reformulate the problem with respect to, mangoes, apples, and all those things, so that student will get attention more on the problem. Another kid may be interested in bikes, cars, and all those things, something. Then the problem can be reformulated by AI, so that that kid, get attention on the problem. So like this, it's a personalized question. Then you can ultimately, the AI will evaluate their answer. Doesn't matter what question is. The question was, the parameters, the numbers are same, but how they are projected are different. So this is where we can't do humans. We can't, teachers cannot come up with 20 such problems. It's time consuming. We don't have time. And second thing is, creativity may not be possible every minute for humans, because we get exhausted. But machines, they can do that once we teach them how to do that.
All right.
Let me add to Satish's comment. How can you use AI in your day in, day out for helping our students to have better education? Recently, all of us had gone through read along application, right? That is Google Bolo reading application. So this is an app based on AI. If a child has given an opportunity, install this read along app in Google Android. If child is unable to read initial difficult words, there is a tutor. That's a virtual tutor. If you click on that, it's try to teach you the way your teacher tries to teach you word by word. For example, if I am reading a story at level 1, if I read a word is wrong, it tries to stop it and ask us to pronounce is. So it's like tutor took a responsibility of understanding your pronunciation and also your vocabulary, and is trying to help you read the way a teacher can help you, right? So there is a lot of research done on how a student can be given help by online virtual tutors. So this is how a teacher can be replaced by AI, how teacher can help the student to read along with the student abilities. The same app I use, in fact, my grade 5 daughter use, my grade 1 daughter use. The Google read along tutor is helping each one of us to correct our words pronunciation wherever is required, even space, and it's awarding the marks immediately as soon as you complete particular sentence, right? So maybe I request all the parents and also students, go to your Android app, try to install Read Along Bolo app. That would really help you to enhance your reading skills, pronunciation skills, and also use how AI can help you to learn along with tool. So something like this, there are many other applications and many people are using it, so that, for example, a child is really poor at 2-digit additions. For example, if AI are observed that child is struggling to do 2-digit additions, the next question AI will throw is single-digit addition. If child is still struggling to do single-digit addition, maybe AI will throw how to teach numbers to the child, right? So AI, maybe most of us asking many questions on negative sides of AI. Let us really think positive sides of AI, how this repetitive process of teaching addition, teaching subtraction, teaching multiplication, making the child to read. So instead of using the teacher one-to-one, let us use available technology, available tutors, so that our children can understand the teacher or tutor instruction. Tutor in fact will understand you in detail what is our capabilities of reading or additions or subtraction, so that in turn it will plan its course of action, give you the best problem what you can really solve it. So I don't know if I make any sense.
No, I
Satish,
think
you will comment on it.
it was. Now there are three interesting questions. Let me combine those three questions, right?
Okay.
I think lead speaker talked about, AI identifies emotions, and how does it possible, right? This is
Yeah.
first part of the question. And
Okay.
second, two questions also, I felt little bit related.
Okay.
Can
Yeah.
we ensure a child does not doze off in online class using AI? Can we detect the children who are dozing off and who are, awake? And can we ensure child is not looking away from the school, from the screen in the online class, right? I felt these three are related questions. Yes.
Yeah,
Brad.
it's a quite easy thing for AI at this moment. We can give this as a BTech project. Just they can do like this. Whether a kid is doing, the kid is sleeping or not, they can just do that. Whether what emotion the kid is. Okay, emotions are maybe a PhD level problem because we need to collect a lot of data. Dozing, sleeping is very simple. We can take actually Zoom is doing. We are using Zoom a lot. If such applications can collect the data and if they give, and once we label, how we can do is, I will just give you an example. Assume AI is a block box. Some machine is there. What I will give it to AI is, I'll give an image and then I'll tell, in this image kid is sleeping, and then I'll give an image, in this image kid is not sleeping. Like that, I'll be having thousands or lakhs of images, and I'll pass to the machine will learn automatically. And when I give a new image that AI has not seen till now, I'll tell me now whether the kid is sleeping or is not sleeping, then machine will tell it. More than 98-99% accuracy, I can say this. This is a very easy problem a BTech student can able to do today. AI is grown up to that level, I guess. Yeah.
Just to add to this question, to all the parents and all the students, right? As you know, our online classes are happening on Zoom, right? We know from where the kid has joined online class. Very, very specific location we know. Which device kid is using, we know. How much time the kid has spoken in the class, we know. How much time he has shared the screen, we know. How much time he was very attentive in the class, we know. What time he joined the class, what time is left. How many times he got into the class, how many times he left the class. All those details, we have it. It's a matter of it, a single call making to, PRM, they will be able to give all the details of every class your child is attending, either at Rockwoods or Rankers and Akuti. Very, very, very easy one. It's all in built and it is available with us,
Okay.
right? Yes. I think
Now, with these details, for example, now you evaluate the kid at the end of the semester. Then, if you give me the grades and all these details to me, I will run. I'll come up with the AI model. Then I can tell in future, in the next semester, on one day, in a particular day, based on student activity, I can tell if you do these things, your grades or your performance will be this in this semester. They will be able to tell.
That's a very nice
That's,
project.
that's
To
really
do
wonderful.
with my grades and students.
Yeah, it's very simple project. You can just give these details and it will be a very good research publication and you can use it actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Then we would like to invite you to guide our grade 9 students and grade 10 students. Our principal would like to collaborate with you and help our
Yes.
students do this project.
Yeah, it's an interesting and simple and also helpful. It's too much helpful for parents as well as to the schools.
Yeah. And one last question. I think with this, we can conclude Q&A. Can we enable a teacher to create content for a chapter and so that, AI can use it to personalize and, some text snippets corresponding to video clips and, with all the concepts in the chapter so that, plenty of questions with varied difficulty levels can be pushed out to children and all that.
Yeah, it is possible. It is under progress in the research because this comes under natural language processing, computer vision, and all these things. At this moment, how well we can do it requires. At this moment, I cannot say it can go to such an extent where it's just going to do magic. Yeah, we are still. It is still in progress. We need a lot of time and people have to come up with so many things. We are going step by step. Maybe we can see this maybe after 5 years, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. I think thank you very much, Dr. Satish, for taking up a lot of questions during Q&A. Very nice answers. We could get it, from Q&A. Thank you very much. Over to you, Lalita ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Satisha. I think it has been a very enlightening session, not only for the audience and even for me personally too. Basically, when we look at every human brain functions with a left brain and a right brain. So my understanding went, as we were talking, that there is a lot that the AI does as of now also, so far as the left brain is concerned, which is the cognitive brain. The right brain, which is the effective one, which has, all the emotions and others, the appreciation, the aesthetic sense and others, is still something that AI probably will take time to come up to. So that is what differentiates the artificial intelligence from that of a teacher's personal touch. And thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session. And we really look forward. We will probably gather the data and give it to you. We look forward to a project with you, sir. Once again, from all of us at Rockwoods International, we thank you and we look forward to more interaction with you. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, CEO, and others.
Thank you, Dr. Satish. And also I thank Sweta, who referred you for this session. Sweta conference.
Yes.
Talked a couple of weeks back. Thank you, both of you. Sweta and Dr. Satish are working in Surrey University, research scholars. Thanks both of you. Also, I thank parents and also many other students.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and thank you all for asking such an interesting question. It means you were alert in the whole seminar, and it was really exciting event for me, and it was nice to meet you all, the organizing committee and chairman, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you,
That
sir.
would be all. We will conclude this session now.
Yes,
Bye
sir.
all.
Thank you very much. And have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.